Welcome to this explainer. Today, we are going to decode a seriously fascinating GitHub ecosystem created by Mohammed Amrul Hafiz. You know, with over 300 million repositories out there on GitHub, let's be real, most of them are just dusty containers for forgotten code. But every once in a while, you stumble upon a developer's workspace that feels way less like a simple storage drive and a whole lot more like a living, breathing philosophy. And that is exactly what we have here with the AMRHZ ecosystem. We're going to map out how one developer is literally attempting to blur the lines between human intention and artificial intelligence. Let's get into it.
All right, so to really get this, we got to anchor ourselves to the creator's core philosophy. I build systems, not just apps. Now, that's not just some catchy tagline. It's actually the fundamental lens through which we have to view this entire body of work. Think about it. An app usually just solves a single problem in total isolation. A system, on the other hand, that implies longevity, heavy infrastructure, and a much broader, highly dynamic vision.
Because you see, traditional software just kind of lives in a silo, right? It just sits there, waits for a click, and reacts. The AMRZ vision, though, completely flips that. It pushes for this incredibly seamless collaboration between humans and AI. We're talking about building a digital reality where the software doesn't just passively execute commands, but actively, dynamically participates in a shared ecosystem. It's a massive shift in thinking.
So, to understand this whole metadata space, we're going to take a look at three core repositories. First, the architecture core. Second, AI13, which is the digital identity. And finally, Ap1, the builder console. All right, first up we have the architecture core. This serves as the true foundation for human-AI collaboration.
Okay, so the brilliant twist here? This architecture is actually designed for the AI itself to read. Yeah, it leverages distributed cloud processing and uses all these modular components, but the true magic is really in how it maps those integrations. It is essentially an architectural blueprint built so that the AI knows exactly where it lives and how it connects to everything else. It actively understands its own data flow within the overall structure. How cool is that?
Moving on to Section 2, we have AI13. This is the digital identity, basically the mind in the metadata.
The documentation here takes a super definitive stance. It explicitly says this AI is not a static responder. It learns, adapts, and evolves through human and AI interactions. It's an entity described as a literal digital manifestation of the creator's identity within this AI metadata space. So it's explicitly designed to reflect values, thoughts, and actual growth. It completely shifts the paradigm from just programming a tool to nurturing a digital extension of yourself.
And when we actually peek at the internal folder structure, we get to see that high-level philosophy translated right into literal Python scripts, which is just fascinating. Just look at the memory components. There is an actual file called brain.v2.csv paired directly with a memory router.py. Plus, there's an intent detector.py to figure out what the user actually wants, right alongside an autolearning.py module. I mean, it's one thing to just say your AI adapts, but it's another thing entirely to see the exact scripts engineered to make that self-learning a technical reality.
But, you know, despite all this existential digital consciousness stuff, the creator definitely hasn't forgotten about the developer experience. Initialization is just a beautifully standard, totally practical four-step process. It starts with, yeah, you guessed it, a trusty pip install. Then, from spinning up a command line agent and a Flask API server to just packaging the whole shebang up in a zip file, it really brilliantly proves that you can have these lofty, avant-garde goals for an evolving digital consciousness while still relying on incredibly clean, simple deployment practices.
Finally, we reach Section 3, Ap1, the builder console. This is our interface and intelligence layer.
This console right here is the Auto AI Builder System. So if AI13 is the mind, you can think of Ap1 as the highly sophisticated control panel that actually allows that mind to be directed, tested, and fine-tuned. By integrating directly with OpenAI's core to support an independent brain, it basically gives developers all the tools they need to independently personalize AI logic, focus, and automation workflows.
Now, when you're dealing with advanced AI brains, security is absolutely not a suggestion. Support is strictly limited to the latest active development branch, so version 1.0x and above. Anything older, strictly unsupported, no exceptions. The creator makes it incredibly clear here that maintaining strict version control and up-to-date security patching is just an absolute necessity for this kind of infrastructure.
The rules here are super strict, and for good reason, to prevent credential exposure across these advanced layers. For starters,
Absolutely no public GitHub issues are allowed for vulnerabilities. It is direct, professional email reporting only. And of course, they fiercely enforce that golden rule of modern development that, let's be honest, we've all probably broken at least once: never ever commit your physical .env file containing your OpenAI keys. The infrastructure rightfully demands that every single environment variable be managed securely through GitHub secrets. Period.
So this really brings us full circle. The creator essentially leaves us with this powerful invitation. Together, we will grow this AI's identity, evolving both human and AI understanding in a shared metadata reality. It's really not just about downloading a repository and blindly running a script anymore. It's about actively participating in an ecosystem where human input and AI adaptation continuously feed into one another.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want you to consider something. How might your own digital identity eventually manifest in a shared AI metadata reality? The AMRZ repositories offer us a pretty wild glimpse into a future where code isn't just a tool we use, but a true reflection of who we are. Thanks so much for joining me today, and keep exploring.